just staring at my wall, just like
Yeah.
like just blanked out.
That's how I was. I mean, I did so many articles this week that when I got done yesterday, I found myself just staring at the walls. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Yeah,
what am
just
I
like
supposed to do now?
just seeing shit. Like
Yeah.
the shit I've seen today.
Yeah. Pretty much.
When my recall goes away, I know I've overdone it. Like when I can't remember the names of actors or like even words I need to use. It's like the
Yeah.
brain's so worn out. I'm like, fuck.
That happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
That was me after, because I started going in on Kushner. I'm like trying to figure out what the fuck's up with Jared Kushner, because like I don't know, like and so I spent probably 4 hours yesterday just like I'm just trying to get like a picture, you know. I'm like, and the scope keeps growing and growing, and like it always keeps growing, right? Like that's the thing. But I'm like, after 4 hours of just like research, and I'm like, okay, I was going to do like 2 essays, but now I'm looking at 12, but I started this shit. So now I need to find a place to start. So now at this point, I'm just trying to figure out how do I tell the story, because it's like it's crazy though. I mean, you look at one thing. I saw something this morning about Turning Point and how there's all this shit coming out about Turning Point, how they like lobbied January 6th and they paid Trump to be there and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's not just like you look at one thing. There's not just one scandal. It's like literally every single fucking thing is a goddamn scandal. Like it's not just, it's all super in depth, and it goes back and back and back and back. It's like years in the making. It's like we're just chilling. We're just chilling in the finale. That's all. Yeah. Like we made it to the season finale. That's what this is. And it's upsetting. So hello everybody. Welcome to the Friday Rant. I am joined by Walter, Arturo, and our special guest, Ossiana. Welcome to the Rant. It is good to see all you guys. It's Friday. Walter is also a shape-shifting panda today. So he may or may not appear in different forms.
Oh, God. Get him out of there.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. I would say overall, if I'm rating this week, I would give it 5.
Wait, okay. On a scale of 1 to a billion?
5.
On a scale of a 1 to a billion?
Standard is like 2. Yeah. I would give it a 5. So,
all right, I'm already confused.
But it is higher in terms of ratio than we're used to, and it was certainly a bad week to be a pedophile.
Oh, wow, that's good.
It's certainly a bad week to be a pedophile.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
But
you know, Megyn Kelly's on your side. You got Megyn Kelly talking about
that's the other thing I was
going
to get. I need to find Megyn Kelly's page. So here, I'm gonna go and find her little video of her being an absolute piece of shit, which is not really different than her most of the time. But yeah, Walter, Arturo, Ossiana, you go here, shoot some shit, complain for a second while I go find this video of Megyn Kelly.
Like, when I saw that video of her, I just could see the gears working in her head, where she realizes that she's basically excusing a lot of the shit that probably happened to her and her friends back then.
Yeah.
And like, here's the messed up thing. I've been that girl. Okay. I'll be honest. Like, when I was first trafficked, I was like, like, I was 14. I had a 25-year-old boyfriend. It didn't mess me up. And I can see the same fucking gears going on in her head.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
I knew some girls that dated when I was younger. Like one of my closest friends' sister was 14 dating a 26 or 27-year-old guy. And like, you know, when you're that young, you're not putting things together yet. You know what I mean? Like you're still, your eyes aren't open to a lot of things. But, you know, you look back at it now and like, I knew a bunch of girls that were dating guys in their 20s, and it's just like, dude, what the fuck?
and they always treat them bad.
Yeah, and you have to pardon me for because when I get kind of in rage mode, I start kind of laughing, like inappropriate laughter. But this is like me being ready to just rip somebody's face off. But but she's getting paid to like the media is normalizing people fucking raping little children, and that's just like. I need to be able to block Megyn Kelly from ever seeing her name again. I should have that capacity because I never want to hear another thing from her after going on the news and trying to normalize and just, we live in this society and people, I mean, we have all, I mean, like every single time there's been an underage marriage where like a man marries some 13-year-old kid, there's always some priest that performs this ceremony. It's like people need to be furious about this. The level of enablers, you know, that go on and all this stuff. You walk by people that enable this shit every day, you know, and it's the passive ones that are really starting to piss me off. The ones that are just pretending like this isn't just cruelty on this.
Right. And a lot of states like Texas, the parents have to sign off on letting someone under 18 or under 16, whatever, get married. And I know a guy that I went to high school with, and of course they're divorced now, but when he was 21, he married a girl that was just about to turn 16. And her parents, Pentecostal family, whatever, you know, let her. So like they were fundamentalist Pentecostal, you know, long hair down to their back of their knees, you know, the long denim dresses, like all that stuff. And they were all for it. And I just thought it was the weirdest thing. But by the time she turned 19 or 20, she realized that she missed out on most of her, you know, formidable years. And she, you know, ended up getting a divorce after having 2 kids. Crazy, just crazy.
And that's kind of the go ahead.
It still happens these days. Like, as many of you guys know, my best friend growing up was part of a culty cult. And I use culty cult because it's like the type of cult that regular cults go, you know, those people are freaking weird. Like, I have to explain to people. I was like, yeah, when I was 8, 9 years old, I was playing with live steel swords, blow torches. I was told to shoot the enemies of God, you know?
Yeah, that's not normal. I guess maybe
I did. Normal, but she grew up with the idea that the minute that she turns 18, maybe even younger, she was going to have an arranged marriage in a mass ceremony. I grew up and I kept hearing about how great this was. So I was like, Mom, I want an arranged marriage. Wow. And like, that was just how things were done. My best friend's sister, she never met her husband until the day that they married, and they were all filed in. They're all given a number, and then they were married about 500 couples at the same time by a priest.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like, the thing is that to their credit, that particular cult does not marry people under 18 usually, to my knowledge. But I grew up with people like, I'm not going to name names, but that whole arranged marriage thing that also happens with certain strata of society. So like, you know, in high-end places, I'm not going to exactly explain how I know this. I'll let people take a wild guess. Parents would talk to one another and they'd be like, okay, your daughter's 15. Okay, my son's 19. That's a good enough age gap. Okay, let's just put them in a room and see what happens.
Yeah.
And like one of my friends, his mom accidentally introduced me to him by saying, I found you a bride. I was 15 years old.
Wow.
He was 19 and he was so skeeved out by this. And I was so skeeved out. And we started making excuses as to why we didn't like each other. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I need a woman who's much taller than me. You're only 2 inches taller than me. And I was like, yeah, I don't like guys with Brooklyn accents. I'm sorry. So
good one. I mean, that's how you do it, right? You come up with whatever.
So like, you get out of that room, Ossiana. Holy cow.
No
shit. So like, that's like, I don't think that people really understand that out in the fringes of most of American society, this stuff is happening 24/7. It's not just the Pentecostals. It's also like the far left wing that morphed into crazy right wing AR-15 blessing cultists. Also like those super like high-end people with like crazy amounts of businesses or ties to like old country aristocracy or whatever you want to call it. It happens a lot more than people think. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think that they are ready to ban child marriage in America.
Right. Well, yeah, you know, a couple of years ago or 3 years ago in 2022, and I mentioned this a lot, in Cuba, they passed what's called a family code, and they outlawed anybody under 18 getting married because a lot of Americans would go down there and try to find them a bride that's still a teenager and, you know, use U.S. citizenship as bait to get them to marry them and move here. And, you know, the family code in Cuba is actually pretty cool because they enshrined trans rights and gay rights,
Wow.
gay marriage, like gay people are allowed to, you know, adopt kids now, and that's all part of it's all in the law. So I think the U.S. needs things like that to stop things like this. You know what I mean? Give people their rights, protect kids. Like, we don't have that kind of stuff here. And yeah, it's crazy. It just blows my mind when you see other countries that are supposed to be so poor and so oppressed doing more things for their people than we do. And it's just wild. It's just we are a sick society. I say that all the time. We are a sick society.
Well, it's true, but you also see so you see that in you know, Cuba. But you go to Europe, dude, it's legal. It's fucking more legal. You can go down to like 12 in some places. I mean, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. I was watching a YouTube video, one of my favorite YouTubers, but he was talking about like child marriage. And there's like people in Italy being like, I met her when she was 12 and now we're married and I'm 65. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, it's just absolutely, but that's just okay. Like, but you see this in Latin American countries. No, that's not fucking cool. Like, we don't do that shit. We're not pedophiles. No wonder the pedophiles want to fucking bomb them. Of course, the pedophiles are lashing the fuck out. Like, the world is, but I found this clip, so we can watch it. I have not seen this. I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it. So this is like gonna be my real time. So I'll probably look absolutely disgusted. And so here we go. Here's Megyn Kelly on her podcast, because everyone needs a podcast these days. So yeah, everyone, let's listen to Megyn Kelly. I guess justify pedophilia. So here we go. Supposed to
play. Gotta turn the volume up.
Now she doesn't want to talk. You embarrassed.
Get her to shut up already. Easy.
Oh my God.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn, now they call it child sexual abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever.
Who is this bitch wearing a star of David, fucking treating Megyn Kelly like, oh, you know, she's like, yeah.
God.
Can I touch on one thing? The barely legal comment. Nobody's really touched on it. So barely legal typically means someone who's 18, who's just
18 to 20 officially.
Legal. 15 is not barely legal, it's illegal.
Illegal.
Simple. It's as illegal as a 5-year-old. So no, there is no
actually.
Dude, you got like, you know, like, I'm sorry, but like, who, you know, the fucking former Barack, was like the former prime minister, Israel. He's like on record, like aggressively assaulting Virginia Giuffre. And then you have some like lady, wearing some, what the hell? I'm forgetting her name already, even though Carolyn Levitt style, Star of David, sitting there listening to Megyn Kelly go off about how this is like okay, like, oh well, they're not 8, it's not the same. And also there is definitely people on record saying that they were introduced to this shit when they were 12. Like, I guarantee you there's somebody who said that. They just are gaslighting people. Like, it's so. I told my fiance the other day, I'm like, if anyone like gaslights me like in my life, I might just crash out, because I spend my entire day watching the government gaslight me.
Yeah.
And I will not tolerate being gaslit by fucking anybody, because it's just ridiculous. I mean, what the she's sitting there on her platform, like having some sort of discussion, and that's where they want to take this, where you can sit on a podcast and casually discuss the merits of pedophilia. Well, I don't know, some people said he was a pedophile and a sex offender. I go back and forth, sometimes barely legal, like Arturo said, barely legal, she was 14,
I think she was trying to coast off of the Romeo and Juliet laws, because the barely legal thing, like, age of consent is 18 in around half of the states. And one of the things that my traffickers drilled into me back in the day were the age of consent, like 16, 14, 15. A lot of times that's old enough to have sex, but wasn't old enough to star in porn. At least that's the way that he explained it to me back in the day.
Right.
So he was like, yeah, so a 16-year-old is allowed to give consent. What he didn't explain was that, one, there's an age gap that was, mandatory in most of the states, or two, the parents had to sign off on it. And that's what she's trying to squirm away with when she says barely legal. But porn-wise, barely legal is usually anywhere from 18 to 20, or just having a very unusually fresh face.
Right.
She talks about this person who she knows, and then she quotes what Donald Trump said.
So bad.
Like, women on the younger side. So what is it, Don? I know someone who's very close to all of this, and he said that Jeffrey Epstein likes women, girls on the younger side. So
So that's what she knows.
Are you saying that Donald Trump told you about the Epstein files, and that he's very close to the Epstein files, and he knows pretty much everything about the Epstein files, and you're quoting him on your podcast? So wait, your inside source is the president of the United States? And
duh.
You're using the justification that he used on your podcast? Like, what? Dude, like, who else fucking talks like that? Who else talks like that? No one talks like him, because he has the the verbal the verbal
ticks,
not like the
I'm literally
gaslighting acumen.
But like the verbal flair, or the verbal diversity of eloquence. Thank you. He is the verbal eloquence of a rhinoceros. So he might as well just just
the raccoon.
Go ahead, go to the. I don't know. Like, the man's a fucking animal.
Hey.
But I think
being able to point to the giraffe on his cognitive test, it's really hard. There's lots of animals.
Yeah.
One of them had a long neck. The other one, we believe that it had a trunk. I don't know how many animals have trunks. I have to be very smart to know the questions. Simple math. Can you believe that? To pass the test, you need to know math. I'm the president. Why do I need math? Like, he's.
Damn, bro.
I love animals too. Don't get sorry. You know what? That is rude to animals. I apologize, animals.
I agree.
Sorry, Panda. I apologize to all the animals in the chat. fellow sapiens.
All the animals.
We are all animals. That's part of our. So I apologize to everybody for sullying our name by even comparing us to that. Yeah. So my apologies, Lynette. Thank you for calling me out for being rude to the animals. Absolutely. I don't know. So yeah, there's a little rant from me. There's my first crash out for the day. Thank you, Megyn Kelly.
We needed that. But it's important to note the way their messaging works, where they set up these situations where they're like, we're talking really calm. We're calm and rational, and of course they don't have access to anybody's like, fuck you, that's a child, you psychopath, that's a fucking child you're talking about. What you're saying is fucking evil. You're evil. We have to protect children. We don't sit around justifying people raping them, brutally raping children, but we're never allowed to be. And then they're like, well, look at how irrational that guy is. And it's just like, I mean, you know, even if I wasn't a father, you don't do this to people.
Yeah. My brain, when I'm watching Megyn Kelly, is like this oil refinery in Russia last night.
Yeah. Oh.
Extra spicy.
Chicken wings. Yeah, buffalo chicken wings.
No, it's chicken death.
Isuka. Amazing. So Ukraine, they blew up a bunch of shit last night. It was great. That's one of my favorite things to wake up to, is a massive explosion in Russia. It's great. It's great, you know, and hopefully one day that's, you know, Megyn Kelly moves her podcast studio to Russia and they mistake it for an oil refinery. And, you know, there you go. It could happen. I'm not saying that should happen. I'm just saying that mistakes occur, and maybe as a Russian propagandist, Megyn Kelly ends up in Russia and opens up a podcast studio next to an oil refinery, and it happened. Yeah. Never know.
I mean, if we could be so lucky.
Have you guys seen the videos of like the Fox women who occasionally just like faint on set?
What?
No.
Oh, dude, I've run into like 2 or 3 while I was like looking at crash outs, and it's always the same thing. Like the girl starts like stammering, and then all of a sudden she'll just go, I'm sorry. I start laughing because I'm like, oh no, this one ran out of batteries. They need to replace it with another.
Are they hungry or are they on drugs? What's going on? Why are they crashing out?
So, speaking as somebody who's fainted for a wide variety of reasons, I want to say yes.
Yeah, okay. They're squeezed into those little trad wife outfits. When I was widow outfits. Yeah.
When I was a runway model, like I was a size 00 at my smallest. And I'm anywhere from like 5'7" to 5'10", depending on my posture. Because I tend to hunch over a lot. Like I'm hunched over right now. But I was like about 115 pounds, and there have been times where I fainted during a photo shoot because I was trying to starve myself out to be around 85 pounds.
Jesus.
Wow.
So like I noticed a lot of myself in those girls because I know how much it takes to be a size 2 for most people, and it's not good. But I also kind of got the feeling that maybe they just had some bad pills. They definitely gave me like the Pez dispenser pill popper vibe. And far be it from me to say this, the one who is basically made of drugs, but definitely getting a little bit of a pill popper vibe from a lot of them.
Yeah, it reminds me of the diet pills from back in the day.
Yeah, the Phaedra.
Yeah.
I feel like all these people are on drugs. Like, I feel like it's like, I don't know, like you end up, this always happens. Like you take a group of people, you make them really rich, you make them autocrats, you separate them from society. They end up turning into like this introverted group. They only speak with themselves. They're awful to themselves, particularly the women who they demand meet their specific autocratic, high society standard. And then everybody on top of that realizes that like their life is like this circular, bubble where they don't get to go anywhere, and they're trapped under the weight of their own fucked up society. And they don't work. Okay. They don't do anything. They don't have any fulfillment in their lives because it's all passive income. Yep. They don't make, and
that's
what
why
do they
terrified,
do?
Yeah.
They fucking just all get addicted to drugs. They're alcoholics. They do drugs. They're addicted to raping children. I mean, like, they just become the most deplorable people on the planet because they've created an environment that is so counter-humane. Like, that's not how people are supposed to live. You're not supposed to be like that. And even the expectations they have for these Fox hosts, because like the women on Fox, you know, these are the same women that go to these, you know, high society parties and shit, and they're like the poster children of what the MAGA woman should be. And like the weight of that must be crippling. Like they must have such self-loathing and so much depression inside of them to be living like that every day, to literally demean themselves on purpose, to put themselves like, it's just, I don't know. I just think it's part of the society. I think it's part of the whole thing. You create this culture and there's always consequences for everything that's done. There's always effects, and there is a cultural fallout. There is an effect on people for living a certain way.
I wrote an article this week about that, where I just went through it was just conservatives are more likely to engage in self-harm. And I was looking at all the numbers, and it's like they die younger, they have all these diseases, they get divorced, their daughters don't talk to them, you know, the men. Fuck you, I'm not talking to you ever again. Oh, why won't my daughter talk? I love her. Like, you know, you fucking voted so that she will not get access to healthcare so she might survive a pregnancy, you asshole. It's like, no kidding, she's not talking to you. And then, and I, you know, got aggregated on a couple of conservative websites. And of course, they all the comments are just denial. But I was saying in there too, it's like conservatives are like, I'm great, I'm doing fine. And then they keel over dead because they're so self-absorbed. The only guy they listen, you know, they take ivermectin for everything. They rub ivermectin in their wounds and think that's going to heal them rather than listen to doctors. So of course, you know, none of them are vaccinated. It's just sort of like, it's just an ideology of death. It's a toxic ideology. Conservatism it's a mind virus. It gets into your brain. It's bad for you. The only thing that works is accountability, which is you know, and I was reflecting on that too. It's like when I chose to get married, it was just sort of like, okay, I'm going to have a commitment to one person rather than being this crazy self-absorbed kid anymore. And it still takes you 10 years to figure it out, where you're like transitioning to, oh, I got to be here for my kids now. And it's like, it's sort of like giving up drinking. It's like this awful, toxic, reckless behavior really feels good right now. But when I'm 50 years old and I don't have an asset to my name and I'm renting an apartment, like a single bedroom apartment, and nobody will talk to me, it's going to kind of suck then. So time to change the road we're on.
Yeah, you know, it's wild because I always say that, you know, it's so much easier to live without being hateful, right? Because hate takes so much energy and it has such negative consequences on your body in general. And you mentioning how these guys die early, they all have these issues, healthy. I mean, you know, that's part of where it comes from. You know, I mean, you can't, like, everything you put out in the world will come back to you, right? And you know, you could look at it spiritually, or you could look at just the plain facts. I mean, being hateful and angry and all that shit is going to create all these problems. And then you're just going to end up dying bitter and angry because guess what? Latinos are still here. Black people are still here. All of us that hated you are still here. And you're going to die angry and miserable. And we're just going to keep going. And that's just the craziest thing to me, why anybody would be hateful towards anyone for any reason whatsoever. It's just stupid. Just stupid.
Like, what really gets me is that MAGA really does tick off all the warning signs of a death cult.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Every single warning sign, and they're like, "Oh yeah, look at the sheeple wearing masks." I'm like, to prevent bacterial infection and spread of a brand new disease that was leaked out of a lab.
Yeah.
You know, one of these things does not seem like the other. But if you ask them to like remove the masks from ICE, all of a sudden, no, that's personal freedom. They didn't say that to us when we're protesting.
Yeah. Arturo, you had a great note the other day too. Your notes are brilliant. And the one where it was JD Vance's wife and you wrote it there. It's like, yeah, you marry somebody who just hates you and you surround yourself with hate, because it just showed how much she aged And it's like, that's got to be off my. I feel terrible for her, but at the same time, it's like we all got to be speaking out about them, and we allow them to do this. It's so normalized, and that that Megyn Kelly podcast shows how they normalize it by acting like they're all normal, even as they spew just the most vile stuff you can imagine.
Usha is a very weird, self-loathing individual. Like, I mean, for one thing, she married a guy who literally rode her coattails into the upper echelon of society.
Mm-hmm.
When that dude was in Princeton or Harvard or wherever he came from, he was, he was the hillbilly that nobody wanted to be around. She was the one who taught him all the social mores and everything. But the thing is that, like, you have to really hate yourself as, like, an outsider, or as a woman, or as a person of color, to completely bend over backwards, forsake your own people, and make yourself like second-class citizen by default, just so that your man can get the gold ring that he does. Like, I can't imagine her family being happy with the way that she's being treated right now. Not by MAGA, not by JD Vance.
I mean, it's too, like, you think, like, you got that right. You have like Usha Vance, and like, she's part of that story, and then she gets him kind of started, and he meets Peter Thiel, who's his real boyfriend, who really bends him over and got him into politics and funded him and put him in the White House. And you still see those things paying dividends. You see it through Doge. You see Peter Thiel everywhere. Like, there's a reason South Park finally put him in an episode, because the dude's fucking, if there's a puppet master, like, and people who have been with me a while know that I hate that motherfucker, and I have written so much about him. I've written about his Founders Fund. I've written about his, what he's doing with Doge and the Pentagon, and how he's trying to literally take over all of the drone manufacturing, all of the drone access in the United States military, how he's created these closed loops for himself for enrichment. And JD Vance is just another one of those products. But like, you have Usha Vance, who she's there, and she could blow it all up, but she doesn't. Like, how much do you hate yourself? How much are you willing to tolerate? You're willing for him to go out and fucking squeeze Erica Kirk real good and let her, nuzzle up against his neck on stage, and you have zero respect for yourself. Same with Kash Patel. Like, bro, they hate you. You're brown. Like, like, they don't give a fuck. Like, they don't care. And at the end of the day, like, how did you get there? Like, eventually, if the billionaires take over, okay, and they win, they're going to start looking around at the other billionaires and say, brother, you see, you don't fit the standard.
Yeah.
You're going CSOT. Like, how long do they really think that they're going to be allowed to persist if they succeed, right? Like, you have to see what's at the end of the road of white supremacy. White. You're not
also
white.
failure, because it's always
the enemy. You will end up on the wrong side of things. Like, enabling it doesn't get you a free pass. That's not how that works. Like,
I tell Latinos that all the time. Eventually, they might embrace you now because you're echoing what they say, but it's inevitable that they're going to turn on you. Yeah. And lately, on a lot of my social media where I find a lot of Latinos for Trump, like on Threads and stuff, I keep coming at them like, you support MAGA, but MAGA doesn't reciprocate, right? They don't support you. Yeah. It's a matter of time before you're going to be running from that lynch mob. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with her. It's with Usha Vance. It's the same thing with Patel. You see MAGA turn on them constantly. Talking about we need to deport Patel because he's not doing something they want him to do, or it's across the board. Like, it was really crazy to see, and I say this because I have a lot of Black family members, but it was, and we talk about this a lot. It was crazy to see a lot of Black men go for Trump because it was the same thinking. Eventually, they're going to turn on you. You're going to elect him, and he's going to come for you. And there you have it. The DEI, all the attacks on DEI, all that stuff. 800,000 Black women losing their jobs in under a year. It's all right there in front of your face. And at this point, to ignore it is just willful ignorance, right? stupidity.
Yeah.
Like,
correct me if I'm wrong or if you guys disagree, but I think a lot of the reasons they captured those Latino men and, you know, those black men, you know, Indian men, any of these, you know,
Minority groups
demographics here was not the immigration stance, but the misogyny.
Yep.
And the anti-trans, right? Anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ stances. There's a lot of those positions, and that's what they use as a gateway to bring, like, for Latinos, because I've been studying this for probably 20 years now. That's how they get Latinos into the conservative movement. They try to play on that evangelical type of bigotry, which is growing in Latin America, and that's how they get them to fall in line with supporting white supremacist ideals. And for Latinos, like, for example, my parents are immigrants, right? They didn't know anything about white supremacy in the United States. They couldn't teach me, don't do this, don't do that. They don't know what dog whistles are. They didn't know any of that stuff. All that stuff I learned along the way, being called a spick, being called all kinds of different things. And for Latinos, like, it's really hard to explain to them, like, dude, that's racist. That's a racist dog whistle, because they don't see it. And then you have to go into this long diatribe to explain it, and half of them don't even want it explained to them. So that's kind of where you are with Latinos. I can't speak for any other group, but I can speak for Latinos in that way.
I actually have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be a story about one of my more recent hookups.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I hooked up with a guy, and we were getting along swimmingly, and then we started talking politics.
Oh, God.
This dude was not what I thought would be the demographic of a Trump voter. He was half black, half, like, native Latino. Gorgeous dude, but he was sitting there. He was brand new to the U.S., got his citizenship. He voted for Trump. And I found out after the fact. And I was just like, dude, I kind of, like, looked at him and I was like, you do understand that when he's talking about immigrants that he wants gone, he's talking about you, little buddy, right? Like, he doesn't like you. And he's like, no, you don't understand. The good immigrants can stay.
Right.
It's just that we have, like, all this stuff. And, you know, like, he starts spouting off racist thing after racist thing after things about, like, oh, you know, like, you do need to get the people off of welfare out in, like, Harlem and stuff like that. And I was just, like, sitting there, I was like,
racist dog whistles.
Talking about you, you dumbass.
The door, bro. It's over there.
And then he was like, well, and then he turns to me and was like, well, you're white. You see, you're trying to make your situation better. And I was just like, oh, wait, hold on here. By the end of his spiel, I got so much self-loathing off of him that I was like, I really don't know if you need a therapist or if you need to really understand what you just voted for. Either way, this is beyond my pay grade. I did not have, I was completely speechless after that.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these guys, they hate themselves. That's why they vote for Trump.
Yep.
I think one of the underlying issues is this: how do we separate kids from cults? And I mean, I'm thinking about my own kids. There's all these things. I mean, we just have to say too. I mean, the church is out there just blatantly pushing right-wing, all of it. I mean, and I'm getting so tired of not all churches. It's like, look, if there's churches that are doing the good thing, they should agree with me and get in with the fight. Every single time people deploy that not all bullshit, they're trying to divert. It's like, well, what about me? It's like, I understand that kids are being raped, but I'm worried about my feelings first. And then we'll go back to, it's like, no, it's not about you. Every time somebody's with their not all, it's like, look, let's just get on this side, do the right thing. But I'm just sitting here because I try to do a good thing. Like, my kids we've never been to church once in my kids' life. And it's to the point, but it's almost bad because it's to the point now where they're like, I'll go by a church and be like, there's an indoctrination center. And they're like, yeah, dad. And it's sort of like, but it's like, but I think a lot of it is because it is that self-loathing. So if I've kind of taken the approach, it's just like, look, I genuinely love you for who you are. I accept you as long as we have a healthy household. Are they then not vulnerable to falling into a cult? But at the same time, you know, you get to be maybe 22 or 23 and you find somebody that's like beautiful, like physically beautiful, and love is just that big wild card, and it can make you do stupid things. And that's a lot. I mean, we see that in the right-wing messaging. They try to make it so girls don't know anything about reproduction. They don't have any access to contraception. So they want them pregnant as early as possible. And so now you're kind of stuck because the laws suck. You're not getting away from that guy. Even if you get divorced, he can still demand rights. I mean, rapists have more rights to the child, you know, than the women do a lot of the times. So it's just things like that, all that stuff on top of each other. So I'm constantly worried about it. I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts about if your kid falls into a cult, then how do we even get him out? I guess that's the problem confronting the nation right now.
I have like a unique perspective here because I'm a 25-year-old dude. So I like grew up in the expansion phase of online toxic masculinity. I was a computer kid. I was a fucking gamer, you know, 8 hours a day after school in the Discord, you know, and like I had friends in high school and we played video games all the time. But what's interesting is as we got older, you could see which way people went on the internet, right? There was a schism. Like you could literally, I could, you know, like my buddies who never, you know, said you know, we're fine at school are suddenly like using the N-word like crazy on the internet, you know, in the video game chats, and they're saying shit. They're getting all homophobic. And I'm like, dude, we're fucking playing Minecraft. Like, what is your problem? There's probably like 10-year-olds on here. And, you know, you know, I played the first Call of Duties, and it was like a running kind of like, I guess, joke, but it's not funny, where you start to have these 13-year-olds like crashing out, cursing, saying homophobic shit, saying racist shit when you like ruin their kill streak. Like it's wild. It's so wild how the internet just overnight, all of these young men went from like, you know, okay, let's play Minecraft. Let's build a house, bro. I'll get the diamonds. You get the gold. Hey, build that furnace, my guy. You know, and then the jokes become, you're doing that, slave labor. Like, what the fuck? Like, I cannot stress this enough, bro. It's Minecraft. You know, it's Call of Duty. Like, it's absolutely insane. And it is to the point where it is a cult because they're in these Discord servers. They are in these environments. It's the same as if you send someone off to summer camp because it's where they spend their time. It's a place you go. It's not like you're in your house. When you go on Discord, when you're on the game server and you're in a party with a bunch of other guys for 6 hours, it is like going to an entirely different place. You can immerse yourself in that. It is the same as going to a cult camp where they indoctrinate you, except what was done is it was just like this subtle insertion in the beginning of this kind of tolerating this behavior. Like it was okay if you're some, you know, 13-year-old who's white to go running around on the internet saying the N-word and, you know, like acting like slavery was cool. And I'm like, I'm the person who I decided to leave the Discord group. I decided to go somewhere else because fuck that shit. Why? Like, dude, it's not. And you know what? I don't play online video games. I don't do it. Why? Because it's toxic, and I just don't enjoy it. I play games. If I play games, I try to read more books because books are cool. Read books. Or if you want to play a game, go to a local game store. Get some trading cards. Play Pokemon. Play Magic the Gathering. I play Warhammer. I literally paint tiny men for hours on end and then take those tiny men to a game store with a measuring tape and roll dice with another sweaty man or sweaty woman because I went to I fought like hell. I threw a fucking stink when the local group didn't let this lady in. And I was like, fuck you. And guess what? She came in and she like sweeped her division because she was great at the game. Okay. Yeah. But my point being is like, you go there. It is still that way. In fact, it has only gotten worse. And then you look at these guys, you know, where, you know, Ossiana, she meets this guy. He's beautiful. He's handsome and he hates himself.
He wanted to be a porn star too.
And he goes, what did you say? He wants to be a what?
He wanted to be a porn star.
No. You gotta pull some strings, like call some people. Hey, he's gonna show up.
I am that person. What the hell, man? I actually work in that field.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta like be like, hey, make some calls. Be like, hey, this guy, he's a no-go. He's a no-go.
Yeah, no.
I've seen his resume. It's small and underwhelming.
To his credit, he was very well endowed and he was an amazing lover. But like the amount of like. No, the amount of self-loathing that dude had, I dead ass.
Still be friends. Yeah.
No, the amount of self-loathing that dude had, I was like, if this dude actually goes into this industry, it's going to break him. You need to be a very confident, devil-may-care individual to actually be able to survive the kind of pressure cooker that is the adult film industry, OnlyFans or loyal fans. It is absolutely brutal because the things that people say, it's very hard not to take it personally.
Yeah.
Like, as content creators, you guys all know, like, when you see those subscriptions dip, you see those people unsubscribe, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, imagine this. Imagine having those unsubscribes, but they're like, yeah, it's because I found somebody who's way hotter than you and who, gives it to me better. Like, that kind of stuff will mess with anybody's mind. And this dude, like, I could just see like a psychologist or a psychiatrist having to like sweep up the shards of the broken masculinity, just like putting it all like in a little bin, and like, okay, sorry, man.
That's a good title for an article. Sweeping up the shards of broken masculinity.
But that's the culture,
that's a good one,
right? That's what the Discord chat is. That's what the gaming chat is. It's a bunch of people who have no concept of masculinity, who are insecure, who grew up in their fucking living room or in their dark room drinking Gatorade, eating Doritos, and pissing in a bottle while they played Call of Duty on hours, because that's the only way to stay current. I'll be honest, if you want to play Call of Duty, don't, because you need to pee in a water bottle and constantly play, because apparently that's just it's just that's like it's one of those things where if you're not like dialed in, and that's why I don't play half these games anymore, because people sweat. That's the young person term. They sweat so hard, because they're just constantly playing, but they have no social skills. They don't know how to talk to women. They only talk to racist, other sweaty dudes who are peeing in bottles all the time, and it's unappealing.
That's why happens? That's why they like the idea of arranged marriages and all these abuse situations, because they're just work. Arturo and Ossiana, do you have any tips for getting people out of cults? I mean, that's just an ongoing
I guess that's where we started. I'm sorry. I don't know where.
No, it's fine. It's good.
Actually, I do. And it's kind of funny that you went on that tangent, because a lot of what you're saying, I was there for the beginning. I'm almost 40. So, I actually saw the beginning of it, and I was way back in the day. I was a software engineering major. I was on 4chan. I had a computer hacking group. I usually did wetware and bioengineering hacking, but like I could still, hold my own on some Linux Kali stuff back in the day. But one thing I noticed is that it started off as a very fringe thing, and it started off as like when people were joking about it at first, like they didn't actually mean it. A lot of the time, like back in 2008, like 2006, 2007, 2008, like that level of like overt racism was done for like edgy humor, but somewhere along the line, repeating the same fucking jokes over and over and over again, people started to internalize it. And people don't really talk about how often just casual repetition turns into very firm belief.
Yes.
Now, as far as like me, like I got pushed out because I was female, and I was actually, I actually wanted to be a model all the time, and software engineers and computer guys are notoriously hostile towards women, especially pretty ones. And after I kept trying to date guys who had the same interests as me, I started to realize that it was just a no-go. I kept getting abused. I had the crap kicked out of me by a couple of them. They would lie about whether or not they slept with me. I was like, dude, at least just sleep with me. Like, it's not that big a deal. Jesus. And after a while, like, that was my wake-up point where I was like, you know what? This is not what they say it is. This is not the girl who's looking for the handsome guy. It's just that 9 times out of 10, it was the pretty boys who treated me the best. for a lot of people, the moment that they actually get out of a cult is when they have their own wake-up moment, where they're actually victimized by the actions of the cult. And a lot of people are starting to get to that point now because they're losing their jobs, they're losing their homes. They're starting to realize the losses that are going on with healthcare. As far as actually getting out of a cult and preventing cult actions,
indoctrination,
cult indoctrination, 9 times out of 10, it's all about inoculation. It's about explaining, here's why these people want you to act this way. Here's why they're so sick in the head. Here's what will happen. Take a look at these stories of people who escaped this cult, who talk about what happened to them. Here's an example of why it's not okay to normalize this stuff. And we had a bunch of examples in World War II, but now we have a lot more modern examples with people that they can actually like reach out, touch, grab, poke. And those people are going to be the ones whose stories they're most likely going to say, because it's easy to distance yourself mentally and be like, I wouldn't have voted for Hitler. Hitler was 80 years ago. We don't know what the circumstances would have been like for you as a human being then. Who's to say whether or not you would have fallen into that trap? Well, what if you're on the verge of falling into the trap of white nationalism online? What if you're the one who's on the verge of, you're not the popular kid who had the football scholarship or whatever popular kids do these days? It would always end up being computers back in the day. And guess what? That's where the breeding ground started. So you want to talk to the people who got out of that. Like, one of the reasons I didn't end up being a right-wing pundit is because I found the underground rave scene, and I found my graffiti artist friends. I found my rapper friends. I found my gangster friends. Those people saved my life, and they saved my sanity, because while gang culture, graffiti culture, rap culture, and EDM culture, they all have their own different flavor of misogyny. It's still a lot more safe, welcoming, and down to earth in a really weird way than what you see on the right wing. And sometimes just exposing your people to a different set of people is all you need to just keep them the hell away from a cult.
Yeah. And some of the things you guys touched on, is a lot of the stuff I've covered too, as far as like how these hate groups and stuff recruit online. It always starts like you guys were saying, they start out with benign memes, right, that are funny, not quite racist, and then they gradually, work their way into stuff that are just more blatantly racist. And the more you continue to just pound that message, the more normalized it becomes. And like, even like just today, I published that list, right, of all the sheriff's departments, police stations that are working with ICE, right? Naturally, a lot of people are pissed about it. But I've got people on Twitter telling me I'm going to jail, and they're calling me a spick and this and that and this and that. And it's because that shit's normalized, right? Because behind the scenes, they're sending out this messaging that just continues to resonate. And you use the phrase rote messaging all the time, Walter. And that's what this is, It's just rote messaging, just nonstop pounding it. And then once it becomes normalized, they start running their mouth. And the thing that I see also that's, to me, is funny is when people take that online behavior and start acting that way in public, and then they get their lights turned out. You know what I mean? They get a custom nose job in a parking lot, some free dental work in a back alley. You know what I mean? So, and you see it, and that's where those consequences really, really pay off, where you're just like, you should have known better than that. But
so let's talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, the more you expose people, like for example, like my family, right? Super diverse, we're, in a neighborhood that's mostly white, but, we hang out with the Indian family down the road, the Mexican dudes down the street, and all that stuff. They come over, we hang out in the front yard, whatever. White people just walk by us like we're not even there, So like, it's just the more you expose people to diversity and being around different cultures and attitudes and ideas, the more acceptable people become. But as long as they stay isolated, they end up getting jacked in the street like we were just talking about.
What you just said, I had some guys, they just moved in next door, like a couple blocks away, and I walked by, I'm like, oh, amigos, ¿de dónde vienen? bienvenido a ese vecindario. And they were just like they did not expect a guy in Wisconsin to be like this. And I'm just sitting there talking with them for a while. And they're like, what the fuck? And that kind of stuff is really sweet. I saw Nick just join too. So hi, Nick. But I want to say too, when I was growing up, and as you guys were talking about this, you come from like an abusive situation. You have no idea what healthy even is, right?
Right.
And so you're kind of like going from, well, this group, and it's like, okay, I got people. And then they're like, why are you? It's like, there's no black people in our neighborhood. Why are we even saying these words? And again, that's that pushing boundaries is grooming. That's what grooming is. Well, people will push those boundaries, and Nick always mentions this. He's just like, when you see other men acting inappropriately, you can say, look, there's no need to say that. And it's just easier to not, it's just easier. And then like in these kind of grooming scenarios, they keep doing one-upsmanship. So that's exactly what Ossiana was talking about, where it's just like those words come in and people are just like, oh, they kind of let them go. And then they're like, now I got to double down and make it more extreme and more extreme and more extreme every time. So it's just.
So let's talk a little bit about the words too, because there's actually a little bit of a mechanism here that keeps people in cults. Okay, so show of hands. How many of you guys have ever had a Jehovah's Witness or one of those other door-to-door Christian types show up?
Yeah.
In the chat too. Put up. You can either say if you're on a computer,
hit a heart if you've seen them.
You can hit heart, or if you are on your phone and you can put a little hand emoji, put it in the chat.
Or become a paid subscriber, and then we'll know that way. If you're all these new
there you go.
And definitely check out the fans if you want to sin a little bit. But anyway. So let's talk a little bit about that. So what most people don't realize is all that door-to-door proselytizing and evangelizing thing, that's not actually just to get followers. It's actually extremely rare that you get followers. The reason that they're doing that is the same reason that overt racism and the consequences tend to cause people to double down on their cult affiliation. The reason why is because they're banking on you being like, get the hell out of my face. Bam. Close the door. They're banking on you being mean to them. And the reason why is that they can turn to the new recruits, or they can turn to whoever they're going and go, this is what happens when you don't follow the Lord. Look at how terrible they are as people. And it gets them. And it gets them. And it keeps them in there because they start assuming that people hate them just because of their religion, which, okay, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, but you know what I mean. Yeah. That's one of the ways that they actually increase retention in their cults. And what you're seeing with the racist stuff, whenever you see people getting their teeth work rearranged or, a brand new face job in a back alley, they're sitting there, they're going, oh, so this is the tolerant left.
Yeah, right. I was going to say something about that.
It creates this weird double bind where a lot of people don't actually know how to approach that.
Yeah.
One of the ways I've actually seen a full-blown swastika on chest neo-Nazi being de-radicalized was somebody went, hey, like they were an Ashkenazi Jew, but they were very, chill about it. They didn't look very devout. They're like, hey, how about you and I go to a museum? You're pretty cute. They took the Nazi to a Holocaust museum. And
yeah.
The girl said, hey, I saw the tattoo on your chest. So I figure you should really understand what you're promoting.
Yeah.
That tattoo is now covered up.
Yeah, I think intervention is crucial, particularly with young people, like in the gaming rooms and all this stuff. Like with my kids, like that, I heard all about this racism and stuff. And because we're in a very diverse family, they've had issues with it. So, I talked to them about it, and you need to bounce, get the hell out of that, group or whatever, and find somebody that's another group that's more acceptable. And I think that one of the issues we have, and you see this a lot when Nazis are coming to Twitter and everybody runs to Blue Sky, you got to confront these people. You have to explain, you can't just keep running from them and allowing them to continue this cycle of normalizing racist rhetoric and hateful beliefs. And I think a lot of this relies on, and I'm not trying to sound, intolerant or anything, but when it comes to white folks, this is largely a white people problem, right?
It is.
I want to add
Personally,
white folks
I have
in
very
this-
little tolerance for white people.
Yeah,
my
anybody who's
running joke
listening
with
to
my
this,
buddies is like, I fucking honestly most of the time I dislike my own people. Like,
Right,
dude,
right.
you're white. I'm like, we're toxic. Like
My wife says that.
we're
My wife
toxic.
says that.
Like, if you're a white person and you know the white people are toxic, then you're one of the good ones. But most white people don't realize how toxic the white person culture is.
Yeah.
Like,
well, white supremacy is that culture. That's
right.
If
white people have a culture,
it's white supremacy. Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like you're either, we're not with the white people culture, or you're part of white supremacy on some level. But, there's something, you're talking about really quick. And, with these Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff.
Yeah.
And, so there's like, you were saying, Ossiana, like you could flip out on him and tell me, get the fuck off my, get off my porch, you piece of shit. In which case they go back and they're like, they hate us because we're righteous. The Lord loves us.
Yep.
And the heathens, they don't like us, But what I always did was like, sure, brother. Well, I know you have your belief, but can I tell you the reasons that I'm not going to say yes to you today? And then I counter debate them. Yeah. And I try, and I will live. Like there was a point with one guy and I'm like, show me your favorite, passages you would usually show, to do this. And then I took each passage and I said, well, this is why I don't believe about that. This is why I don't believe in that. And then I would give him like 15 contradictions within, the passage itself. And then he left, where it was, it happened to be, it wasn't my house. It was at work. I was at work. And so I spent 45 minutes on the clock, basically talking to this guy. And my boss was like, what are you doing? I'm like, customer service, like, calm down. Like, you got to engage the customer. But he left and his eyes were like glazed over. Like I had nuked his mind because he came with the intention of like bringing me to the light. And I said, well, how about my perspective? And he didn't leave feeling like I hated him. In fact, I think he probably felt seen because I listened to him for 45 minutes. And that is one of those things where I'm like, it's not that I don't respect your religion, sir. It's that this is why I won't be joining, I won't be coming to church with you this weekend. Yeah. And like, I respect if that's what you want to believe.
Right. I'm that way too.
I want to add too, because I grew up in like this really conservative rural area, and that isolation is such a big part of it. Because of a lot of my life, I would just provoke people. I'd make the assumption of this person is against me, and I would just provoke them. And it wasn't even racism. It wasn't all this other stuff. It was just provoke. And it came from, our family gatherings, like the farm culture. And it's just, this is something I really need to think about more and just kind of map out. Because this farm culture, we're farmers, we feed the nation, everybody's against us. And we can only, that's what they think, and it's sort of like, then we'd sit together as a family. You can only trust the family. Everybody else is a liar. But of course, this is all in service to this patriarchal model where those people are, and that's all maintained. But it's not easy. And I mean, I got out of this because, but we'd sit together and do family gatherings and we just run each other down. That's what we do. You're running, ha, it's a joke. Run each other down. Ha, it's a joke. And that's what I said before. Pushing boundaries is grooming. And I eventually got to a point in my life when I jettisoned off to Peru. I'm like, I'm out of this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to reset my brain. And it took, and this is why it's hard for me, because we see these rural areas and I keep looking at other people in these rural areas because I'm always been a good student. I'm like good at like math and I read a lot of books and stuff. That shit was so ingrained in me that it took it wasn't until I'd been in Peru for about a year that I started like just kind of settling down. And a lot of that was just because I couldn't speak, I couldn't converse with people. And all I was seeing was reinforced every day. The Latin culture was just embracing me like a long lost son. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like my people would never do this to you. Why is this happening? And it's just like, I'm so grateful to that culture and to my wife and her family and all that. But it's just like the other side of that is because I struggled so much in college because I would sit there and do great in the coursework, but I would just run people down to the point until they'd fight me back. And then it was just like what Ossiana said. Oh, see, that just confirms these people are bad and that my family back home is right. And they're the only ones that really care about me. Even though when I go back to them, it's at the point now I finally had to tell my dad, it's like, you have to either fundamentally change or you're never seeing my kids because I'm not going to allow grooming, And of course, they don't change then. He'd rather not see his grandkids than assess this part of himself. So, That's what we're up against. It's not easy.
Yeah, like one of the reasons why they have like this double bind is because it makes it so hard to leave.
Yeah, the trauma bond.
Like one of the things that I've seen in my own situations, because due to the situation I'm in, I end up having to deal with a lot of conservatives, is that once they actually start to question themselves and they start to ask themselves, like, why doesn't this feel right if this is the right thing to do? Mm-hmm. Is that they know that if they back away from all of that, all of the social support that they get from that cult is going to vanish.
Yeah.
Like 9 times out of 10, like whenever I'm trying to, do a sale or something like that and I'm dealing with Trumpers, I tell them, hey, I realize that we have differences, but look, I'm actually like looking out for you in this sense. But I've noticed it time and time again that whenever they go through like serious consequences, like, that they actually have their own right-wing, fascist, racist version of GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What's it called? I mean, is it?
I actually forget which. I'm actually gonna search it up. Right-wing GoFundMe.
I can't remember what it's called.
So they have give, send, go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's considered to be, fund with faith and freedom. That's actually like what it's showing on here.
Fourth Reich
Those are
funding.
2 trigger words there.
Yeah.
They should throw Patriot pickup truck in there too.
Yeah, they have they have like a right-wing GoFundMe via Give, Send, Go and stuff like that. I also think that there was another one which was called like Hate Pay or something like that. I forget what it was.
Straight up called it that.
No, but they deadass have their own crowdfunding things specifically for right-wing causes, which tells you like how much money these people are able to fundraise by just saying those mean liberals did this. And for people in those right-wing circles, the safety nets and the pockets are much, much deeper than they would allow you to believe.
Right.
Like those mega churches, if one of the mega churches elders got into some serious shit, that church would be overflowing with money. The same cannot be said if it was a single unwed mother, though. I can tell you that much.
Right.
But if you play that little kabuki dance, they really back you up. And that's one of the things that people don't understand. The fear of losing that backup can be earth-shattering for people.
Yeah.
You said another good thing, though, and just those justifications for evil, which are indoctrinated in, were just like the idea of, oh, there's a person who's hungry. Let me give him some food. And they're like, well, now that might feel good to give them food now, but you're just teaching that person to be reliant on handout. And it's just, they get themselves all worked up with this. And I've seen people that they struggle with it, though, because they've been told all these things. And maybe that's something all of us can work on over the next week, is just identifying all these various like complex arguments for behaving in a way that's just totally blatantly evil, and just figuring out a way to untie those knots, because a lot of people's minds are, because they don't want to behave like that. People don't want to be evil people. And like Nick was saying the other day, like giving to Feed America, it's like, it feels good. It feels good to help people out, but their whole culture is about not helping other people for like this righteous, I'm doing the better thing. What I'm doing, it seems like what I'm doing is evil, but it's actually the good thing for this reason. And you're just like, that's just bullshit. What you're saying is just bullshit.
I mean, like in all these cults, you're promised something, right? Like usually it's deliverance, right? Like where the meteor is going to hit the planet, everyone's going to die, but we're going to ascend. As long as you drink this Kool-Aid that's laced with cyanide, you'll be good. Okay. Oh, make sure your kids drink it and everybody else. What they've promised these people is that they will be billionaires. They will be billionaires somehow, some way. They will be super fucking rich if they support these billionaires. And it's really that. I really think it's that simple. If you hate enough, if you are racist enough, if you support the billionaires enough blindly, someday you'll be a billionaire too. I promise, because the American dream, it'll come about. All you got to do is be a racist, hateful asshole and support billionaire pedophiles, and you'll be rich. And it's like, they're desperate. Like I get they're preying on desperation. The environment in the United States is bad. Over 12% poverty rate. Okay, like that should not be something you see in the richest nation in the world. You know, most people not being able to afford healthcare. It's because they've cultivated an environment of desperation, and then they can turn around and promise salvation if you support the system. Because you as an individual, it's up to you as an individual to support the wealthy individuals, so those individuals can keep being wealthy, so you can be wealthy too, because if they aren't wealthy, there's no shot for you to be wealthy. But the reality is these people don't want to be wealthy. They just want to be comfortable and not hungry and not desperate and you know, feel like their kids can grow up and have a future. And they've been convinced that hate is the antidote for poverty. That's literally, if you want to dumb it down, how is the cult? What is the cult? It's the catalyst is poverty, and the solution to your poverty is hate, which is being offered by the wealthy people who have no intention of allowing you to be wealthy and will continue to keep you in poverty. But like all cults, there is a certain point where they fall apart. A lot of the times, like, you know, and that's where you start to see the whole isolation thing, right? When things start to get crazy, these are when the cults move out to the middle of nowhere and they have to move people away because they can't maintain control without isolation. The thing about MAGA is that you can't move everybody in America to the middle of the desert. So someone earlier was talking about extinction burst. This is what could be the extinction burst. I was talking to, you know, Melissa the other day, and I'm like, I'm very hesitant to be optimistic. So when something good happens, I'll be like, fuck yeah, great. But I am again seeing potential for an extinction burst because you can't move all the MAGA people into the desert. You can't do it. You can't isolate them. And the pressure from the outside is mounting. And like since LA, they've lost the narrative. I think it started in LA. It got worse in Portland. And at this point, they're hands off. They're just fucking running around because
they're past their point of highest power. Their highest power is gone.
They're declining. So, I think that's they're in decline.
So that's good. Then we can be happy.
They can't shut everyone up. That's the thing. There's so much mounting evidence of all the things that we've been accusing them of to be correct. We've already accused them. They don't actually have a plan for the healthcare crisis. They don't actually have a plan for the housing bubble. They don't have a plan for all this shit. Well, now people are sitting there. They're looking at their empty wallets. They're wondering how they're going to get their next meal. Food banks all over the area are starting to bend and break under the sheer pressure of all the federal workers and everyone else not able to afford food. And the funny thing is that that's actually what's been waking them up, because they're starting to realize that everything that they've been hearing on the news has been a bald-faced lie. Like what happened with the New York Times when they're like, are women the problem in the workplace? Is feminist the problem in the workplace? And I was like, wow, how the mighty have fallen. I know at least 3 people who have canceled their New York Times subscriptions over that. Because
that's worth canceling it over. Everybody should be, and there's a lot more places you need to cancel on top of that.
Like, they keep trying to control the narrative with an iron fist, and every single one of us in this chat has seen their numbers get muzzled by certain systems. And I ain't gonna name names, but we all know which one it is. Substack, pardon me. Oh my goodness, I do believe I got the vapors. But you know, they're trying to clamp down, but it's not working. It is failing miserably. And they can't even just arrest us all, because they can't arrest 40-50% of the population.
Right.
The Republicans can't even hold town halls anymore because their own constituents look like they're going to eat them alive. So they lost their power. They're right now just trying to clamber out of it. And some are starting to turn on MAGA, which we're seeing with like Lauren Boebert, refusing to unsign the document asking to release the Epstein files. Marjorie Taylor Greene
too. They brought her into the Situation Room to press her, so I didn't expect her to hold up.
You know, here in Texas, especially like looking at the Senate race, you know, people going after John Cornyn's seat. There are like 5 Republicans going after John Cornyn's seat, and like maybe 2 or 3 Democrats. And the ads here are just all out war of the Republicans going at each other. They're not going after the Democrats. They're talking about, you know, Wesley Hunt has missed like 200 and something votes in Congress. You know, John Cornyn is this crooked guy. Ken Paxton is this crooked guy or whatever. And it's just funny to me because they're just like everything liberals or anybody who's not conservative have brought up about these Republicans, and they were like, no, it's not true. It's not true. Now they're using it against each other. And it's to me, it's comical. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. So like if you're in Texas, you see these ads, and you know, John Cornyn is running ads asking people to call and thank him for voting with Donald Trump 97% of the time. And like, you're begging how many millions of dollars are you spending right now begging people to call and say, thank you, John Cornyn? Like, I'm not going to call you. If I call you, I'm probably going to cuss you out.
Well, that's like patriarchal collapse, you know, like these patriarchs who are like narcissistic collapse where they're just like, because it's just like, you should be thankful for all the opportunities, and you should be, because they guilt you. And like Vance does that too. What a disgusting question, he says. You know, he's always on the offensive, and he's always trying to make us feel bad. So that ad you referenced, Arturo, is like a guy who doesn't fucking understand that, because he's just like, you all should be thanking me. And the whole bunch of like, fuck you. Like,
how dare you not wear a suit in my office?
But he's like provoking them. He's like provoking the extinction burst because he doesn't understand the mechanism it works. He thinks he's entitled to all this power. Oh, I just got to be a patriarchal fucking all-powerful asshole. Everyone's like, fuck you.
Well, it's like J.D. Vance had like some fucking exclusive interview with Sean Hannity or whatever, and he's like, things are getting more expensive. But what people don't understand is that we inherited a lot of inflation from Biden. Dude, Biden survived fucking cancer, and he's still walking around doing shit. Okay? I have plenty of issues with Biden. I have a lot of issues with Biden. And they aren't going to go away. Okay. Those criticisms will never be addressed because he did what he did with Israel. He did what he did. He didn't release the Epstein files. He absolutely could have. And that's true. If there's one thing these Republicans are saying, it's, well, he could have released Epstein files. He fucking could have, you know? You know, I was watching this morning, and like, I love Aaron Parnas, and he's done such a good job with the Epstein files, but he's like, the reason they didn't release the Epstein files during Biden was because there was an investigation. You know, they've been investigating for decades, bro. Like, you know, like they could have and should have. And obviously, like, you know, he does amazing work, and I actually think he's one of the best impartial reporters out there. But I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, you don't need to justify it. Like, we don't need to defend the past because they fucked up, because we're here because they could have arrested Trump. They could have done so many things. It was a choice. They made a choice, and they can't take it back. But like, you know, it is in that sense, I think, where they could have released the files.
So there's a lot of rich donors. And there's a lot of rich donors on those files. So they wanted to protect their donors. And we've seen that too. The AIPAC, all that dirty money, a lot of it goes to the Democrats. There's a faction within the Democratic Party that's totally okay with corruption, and they have to go just as much as MAGA does.
Yeah. Like lately, I've been noticing a lot of MAGA coping via just pointing out that Bill Clinton is probably on the list. And I'm like, yes,
get him.
Might be.
Oh, he's on the list. 100%. Him and Hillary. Jail.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's the end of that argument, MAGA.
Right, that's it. Right.
Like, I hate those guys. Arrest them. Arrest everybody who's a rapist of children.
If you rape kids, you go to jail.
Right, it's not political.
1 + 1 is
Let's
what?
put that on our money.
2.
Put that on our currency.
2 of them. Bill Clinton plus Hillary Clinton equals jail.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
simple.
Some things aren't political, right?
Yeah.
And you know, molesting kids is one of those.
Let's make that the new national model. Rape kids and go to jail.
Right. I'm with you.
Like,
put it on our money.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
a constant reminder. Yeah.
I don't understand why they're having such a hard time figuring out that we don't just want the Republicans to go to jail.
Yeah.
We want the Democrats too.
We want all of them. All of them. Everyone. Everyone.
I want all of them who are criminals to go to jail. I believe criminals go to jail. It's like we all do. Like, we're not going to argue with you. Like, they're like, Schumer's a pedophile. Find me evidence Schumer's a pedophile. Chuck him in jail. Nancy Pelosi, find me evidence she's a pedophile. Chuck her in jail. All of them. Zoran Mamdani, I love him. If he's a pedophile, we put him in jail. Like, it's that simple.
Like, can we talk about Pelosi for a minute? Because that bitch is a fossil, okay? Like, I'm sorry. With your paleontologist hat, man, like, I know that you're pricing there. You're probably like, oh my God, oh my God, it's Nancy Pelosi in the Ark of the Covenant or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so this is Peruvian alpaca, and I got it when I was in Peru, and I love this hat very much. But it's okay. And I also, like, don't worry, you go off on Nancy Pelosi. I'm sure she took AIPAC money. You know who I do think is pretty cool, actually, though, is Elizabeth Warren. I was looking into her funding. And she doesn't take AIPAC money. She's not super PAC funded. I would say Elizabeth Warren is pretty cool. But like Nancy Pelosi,
in the debate against Bloomberg, where she just took him apart. I've never seen anybody be so dismantled in a debate. I'm like, holy shit. Release those non-disclosure agreements. He was just like, oh. That was perfect.
So let's talk a little bit about her. The other day, like, we've seen Nancy Pelosi on the political sphere since all of us have probably been alive.
Since I've been born, before I was born.
I found a photo of her with JFK. That's how long she has been in American politics. Do you realize how insane that is?
Yeah.
I was born in 1974. I'm 51. Chuck Schumer got into Congress the year I was born.
Yeah.
He's still fucking there. And look, I really kind of despise Pelosi, but I will say this. There is no way in hell Pelosi would have buckled like Schumer did on that fucking
that's true.
On the government shutdown. There's no fucking way. I will give her that. She was a hard-nosed motherfucker, and excuse my French, I don't mean to say that about Pelosi, but they said she ruled the Democratic Party with an iron fist, and she did. She did. And she would not have let the party do what Chuck Schumer let it do. And as far, she's not a great person, in my opinion, but you can't deny her successes. You know,
she cares.
She's done a lot of good. But I'm just not a fan. You know, she's one of those insider trading, get rich off the office, made a career out of something that's supposed to be a public service. And that's the shame, But yeah, there's no way. I don't see how Pelosi would have buckled like Schumer did, and that or even Jeffries does. It's crazy.
Schumer's such a
yeah.
I mean, if he wanted to be a little bitch, there are certain dungeons I know that would be happy to hear it, but does have to do it on a public spectacle.
Speaking of that just made me think of a story. Your little dungeons.
You got a dungeon story?
Yeah, well, it was. Did you see the link I put about?
Do I need to put a warning on this episode, Walter?
Yeah, always. I come with a warning label, but there was that TikTok video where this girl was like, Mike Johnson's frat house. Apparently he's living. They were calling him like the fascist housewives of DC. And apparently he's like living in this house owned by, because I said this before, he doesn't have a bank account. Like the fucking guy, like a three-eyed raven comes and coughs up silver coins to him every week. And that's what he spends. And he lives in like this frat house with like some psycho preacher. I said this to you a while ago and just like, what the fuck there's like this stuff out in the open that makes no goddamn sense. He like lives with all these other dudes that are all like, like got shady pasts and they're all like deeply religious and they get together after Congress to go home and, like light some candles and draw some pentagrams and like burn some, I'm not going to say what I'm thinking they're burning, but it's like bad. It's bad.
Yeah, dude,
this
Mike
townhouse in
Johnson's
DC.
so weird because, like, so for example, Daryl Issa is one of the Congress people here in California. And so I actually saw Daryl Issa because he had a rally in front of my work. And on my lunch, he's standing in front of the McDonald's with the manager. And there's all these people protesting him. And like no one showed up. So it was so funny. He's standing there waiting to give out free French fries. And there's like 150 people saying, fuck Daryl Issa. He's standing there with like some French fries in front of McDonald's and like no one's
the fry though.
It was the best thing I've ever seen. But Daryl Issa was using PAC money to pay Mike Johnson's rent. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah, there's all this stuff.
And then so Melissa, she gave me some spicy stuff yesterday. She's telling me that I guess Mike Johnson just casually adopted like a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, I heard that story
who
too.
Lives with him.
Informal adoption. Like, who speaks for that boy's safety?
What the fuck does that even mean, dude?
It's kidnapping. The word, I guess that's a sanitized word because that's kidnapping. You don't just get to informally adopt a child.
Like, so kidnapping a child.
They technically call it rehoming, and there's actually like, I did a deep dive on this, but it caused me to end up I ended up having to drink my my pews away for these kids because so technically due to a legal loophole, parents can rehome their children, and these are informal agreements where parents pretty much just cede all of their rights to somebody, either temporarily or permanently. And there are like actual Facebook groups where they have kids being rehomed, actual human children. I'm not talking about baby goats. I'm talking about actual human children. And it's basically like a less legal version of adoption. And this is actually something that happens. And it sounds like he literally went into one of those like rehoming groups, saw a kid that he had a crush on, and because apparently
in Virginia Giuffre's book too, like the first thing that happened when she's 7, her dad like gives her to the neighbor to rape, and it's just sort of like this shit. And it's like I went into that book thinking, okay, it's like little St. James Island. It's just, it all starts here, it all
it does.
Here. There's some just nasty shit, and again, your churches cover this shit up a lot. And that's
I have a real issue with the rehoming word too, because I've rescued pit bulls most of my adult life, and the one that just passed away a couple years ago, and this 15-year-old here, when I got them, that was the premise, to rehome them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, you rehome pets, not children. Like, what the fuck?
People think of their kids though. They think of their kids as property, and this is another farmer thing, the rural thing, because a farm is not economically viable. You're going to go broke. So people have a lot of kids, and then those kids are out working dangerous things, and they got the power takeoff. I'm sorry?
I said, thank you, Monsanto.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the culture I grew up in. I mean, kids, they go to school, but they'd work a 10-hour day on top of going to school, and kids are getting their legs broke. They're driving machinery they shouldn't, they're operating shit they shouldn't be operating. They lose arms and legs and shit. We don't talk about that's slave labor. And this is the entire, MAGA bread and butter. This is all their supporters. There's just horrific things happening in rural areas. And then the girls, I mean, the shit they have to put up with is horrible too.
Yeah.
Like in churches, a lot of, especially right-wing churches, if a girl gets assaulted, if she gets raped, if she gets impregnated and the guy bails, the guy usually will end up getting, he'll get off scot-free. He'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I fell, baby Jesus, this, that, and the other. The girl will usually end up having, she'll actually have to apologize in front of the congregation. And like the way that people treat these girls after that happens, it's like there's a persona non grata, there is a vibe of this, that, and the other, where these girls are, they're basically like kicked out of society for being victimized. So of course they don't speak. That's part of the thing that brings out that culture of silence.
Yep. I had a business years ago. Are we getting an echo again or no? No, I think it's all right. So I had a business years ago, and this woman who worked for us, she was getting a divorce, and I'm just like, and she she was like, well, what am I going to do about money? I'm like, well, you're getting your money. You're getting paid from us, right? I'm like, no, that goes into his account. I'm just like, well, go start up your own bank account and then I'll make the deposits to your bank account. And so she went and did that. But even that was, and then she got the full court press, just like what Ossiana was talking about. All these people are just harassing her, saying, oh, you need to go back. You need to do, how dare you have. So, I mean, getting back to just like separating kids from cults, like underscore with your kids, be in charge of your own money. Don't get into this. And with my wife and I'm just like, let's just keep it separate. You be in charge of your money. I'll be in charge of my money. And that's like accountability. It's just like, yeah, you can leave if I turn into an asshole, and I want you to have that, not because I expect it, but who expects to become an asshole? So I'm telling it to my kids too, always be in charge of your own money. But yeah, the degree to which some people, a lot of people, I think you'd be surprised how many women have been conditioned to think that they shouldn't handle any of the money. They turn their earnings right over to their husband and don't even think about it.
Yeah, with people like that, I genuinely don't understand how they're okay with their kids being victimized that way. And I think that, like, one of the weirdest things I've noticed in particularly right-wing circles is that the ones who tend to be the most protective of the patriarchy it's not just the men, it's the women. After a while, a lot of those girls, they're like, I like my gilded cage, and you're going to be in a gilded cage or else.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I worked so damn hard to get what I have. It's not actually because they like their lives or that they're okay with what happened to them. But if they were to actually like openly confront what all the stuff that was taken from them, I think it would actually break them.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Somebody put a point in there, though. They never bring up the fact that women couldn't have a bank account when they, pined for the 50s. And then what is it? When they made no-fault divorce, like suicide among women just plummeted because finally you can just get out of these abusive marriages.
Right.
And I think it was 74 that women could finally have credit cards.
That's not that long ago.
Yeah, that is not that long ago. And they want to go back to that because it's just that whole mechanism of control. And like you said, you get to that point, it's really unfortunate. And in Jouffre's book too, because her job was to go out and recruit new girls, and she was struggling with it in the book. She said, I would tell them, you're going to have sex. They're going to pay you money. But it's like, you do that for a couple more years, and you're just like, fine, fuck it, And it's like you get indoctrinated into that lifestyle. And I think exactly as you said, you get that cognitive dissonance where you're like, I'm going to have this for my kids. And then you start resenting your own children because they have the opportunity to have a better life. So then you sabotage them. And that's ultimately, I think, the whole conservative toxic mind virus. It causes that too. People sabotage their own kids. Give them away. They lend them out as sex slaves. Fuck.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, and that, again, I think it all links back to poverty. We'll give you a lot of money for your kid. You sign away your kid, there'll be some sort of kickback. But, we're
that's scary.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying that's scary.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately we're over the hour and a half, and I have my paid subscriber live stream coming up in like 20 minutes, so I need to get ready for that. But for my gauntlet continues. But thank you so much for joining us today, Ossiana. It was a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, seriously.
We'll definitely have you back on the rant sometime soon. Walter, Arturo, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure to see you getting through every Friday, maybe to the end of the week. You got to crash out sometime. So people in the chat were like, Shane, your voice like gets higher and higher the angrier you get. I'm like, probably. So I don't even know. I'm like outside my body at that point, just like seething. But so everybody, I'm going to go ahead and post the show. In the show notes, you'll find links to everybody's Substack. Go and subscribe to them. Free subscribing, paid subscribing. All of it helps everybody, keep on keeping on doing what we're doing. Walter needs to put a roof over that stuffed animal's head. So make sure you support him there. But as always, everybody, burn bright, resist, and we will see you all later.
Bye.
Thank you.